Hello, everyone. My name is Mimi Wilson. I am a senior undergraduate student at UCLA, majoring in psychology, and I'm also a research apprentice for the Center of Mental Health in Schools and Student Learning Supports at UCLA, which is so amazing because they have given me the opportunity to conduct my own research, investigating the effects of inequitable resources on standardized testing outcomes. So a little bit of background behind this study. We're really looking at socioeconomic inequalities between different communities, different households and households in different neighborhoods. And it's just very interesting to emphasize and look at the fact that students do experience varying intensities of stress and varying levels of stress. So it is very important to take that into account when looking at things like standardized testing scores, because although these tests were designed to measure everybody's intelligence on a standardized level, it does not take into account the fact that students are experiencing different things and different qualities from life. Some are experiencing food insecurity, some are experiencing housing insecurity, and that innately is going to affect their ability to perform at their most optimal level. And this is very important because students used to more likely in the past would submit these scores for things like colleges. So their consideration was not as strong in terms of admissions for colleges because they did not perform as well, but it did not take into account other stressors taking place in their lives. So it's just very limiting to their potential. And that is just a little bit of background for why this study was conducted. So the study design is pretty basic. I created a survey and it was an anonymous survey distributed to individuals aged 18 to 25 years old. In order to be eligible for this research study participation, they just had to have gone to high school in some capacity. They did not have to take the SAT or ACT exams, they just had to go to high school. So this is a little bit of insight into my data set. There were 109 individuals recruited and participating in total. And of this 109 sample, 72 went to public schools, 19 went to private, and 17 went to charter schools. There was one who did both public and homeschool, but they did not take either the SAT or ACT. And then of this sample, 72 did take the SAT and 30 of them took the ACT. So this is the exact survey that participants were presented with. These are the questions that I designed to really look at first demographic information, and then looking into what type of school everybody went to, whether that's public, private, charter, homeschool, all of the above. And then starting to look into whether they even took the exams and their preparation methods. So this could be anything from private tutoring to study groups to practice book problems, anything of that nature. And then how long they prepared for, how much time was devoted to studying for these exams. So this considered how long each week students studied for these exams, as well as how far in advance did they study. And then I'll move my face. Okay. And then these are some preliminary results. I'm still collecting data and will continue to collect data throughout the rest of this school year, so for about another month. But preliminary results do reveal that public school students did have substantially fewer resources than students that went to private and charter schools. We can see that depicted on this graph here because individual tutoring just considers private tutors. So these are the students that had access to private tutoring in each school type. And then here is the length of time in preparation, how far in advance they began preparing for these exams. As we can see here, public school students, the majority of them spent their preparation within the a week of taking these exams as in comparison to private and charter schools, it was a bit more equally distributed with more students spending over a week in advance studying for these exams. So it is super interesting to note that although there were significant differences in the amount of resources and the quality and quantity of resources between school types, there was not any significant difference in score distributions for SAT and ACT assessments and school types. So here we can see the SAT scores depicted in score ranges on different school types. So this is pretty all over the place. There is no significant difference between these scores, but it's also interesting to note that even here, it looks like there would be some significance, but there is still, although very close to significance, there are not significant results to show the amount of disparity between school type and ACT scores. So that is also why I am continuing to collect data, because having a larger sample size could help solidify one way or the other, because it is very interesting to see these outcomes. But it really does underscore the importance of implementing more equitable systems in schools. This is because students, if everyone had access to a private tutor, or everyone had access to like sorry, I'm blanking. If everybody had access to private tutors, if everybody had access to practice book problems, if everybody had enough time to start studying in advance and had the same amount of time preparing for these exams, it would still affect their performance, is my hypothesis still. So it's just very important to take these socioeconomic disparities into account when looking at standardized testing score distributions, and it's very helpful in order to prevent the perpetuation of certain social classes and limit students' potential, because they could be intelligent, but they could just be going through something that limits their ability to perform at their best during these assessments. So here are just some ideas for future directions for this study. There could be within subject design to really, like I said, level the playing field, creating the most equitable system for students. And then another would be just an investigation of the standardized tests, just their design, and making sure that there is a way to measure the student's intellect rather than measure their ability to perform well in a high stress situation. And then the last one is just further investigation of students' backgrounds. Again, looking at things like housing insecurity, food insecurity, English literacy at home, from just every socioeconomic disparity you can think of. And then here are some references included. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much. If you'd like to participate, obviously no pressure. Here's my email. You could always reach out and I can send the survey over. But that's basically it. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And have a great day.